As you saw, there are three parts basically of an EpiDoc XML document. The TI header, which contains all the meta information, with which we will deal tomorrow. The facsimile part, which links to an image file, which can be either online somewhere. If you have on Wikimedia Commons, for example, a snapshot of an inscription, you can link to it, but also contained in a folder somewhere locally in your project. And the text part, which contains the edition of the inscription, the apparatus criticus, the commentary, and the bibliography. And we will deal with this now precisely with the edition of the inscription itself. And we will make exercises first about editing an epigraphic text, together with all the editorial sigla that you know very well that an epigraphic text has and uses. There is a pretty straightforward connection between an epigraphic siglum and a tag which is related to it. And yes, I will show you one document that is supposed to show. This is a cheat sheet which shows all the editorial sigla and how they are rendered in EpiDoc XML. Let me see. Sorry, bear with me for a while. We have a smaller cheat sheet and a larger cheat sheet. I don't know if you see well here. I will try to. I don't know if I can make this bigger. I'll try. As Professor Nikolic said in her introduction this morning, the instigation for creating EpiDoc by Tom Elliott at the turn of the century was actually given by Pancera, who is one of the authorities on editorial sigla in epigraphic publications. So EpiDoc follows closely the so-called Leiden conventions of epigraphic publishing and editing, and I will walk you through those and see how they are encoded and see how they are rendered in different styles of epigraphic publications. As we discussed this morning, one and the same semantic markup can have multiple outputs. There's usually one standard output, but here you have at least two very close, but still a bit different in their details, ways of rendering the same thing. You have the Pancera and Epigraphische Datenbank Heidelberg version, and the Supplementum Epigraphicum Grecum and the Duke database of documentary papyri rendering, but everything that stands behind them is one and the same. So you have line breaks, which can be indicated by a slash or vertical pipe in an epigraphic edition, or simply by a new line in the edited text. These are covered by the tag, the empty element line beginning or line break with numbers. As I told you, these numbers can be visualized, all of them if needed, or the default visualization is every fifth line, as in the most epigraphic publications. But you know that there are some epigraphic publications which, for different reasons, follow different conventions. There are some inscriptions to which you might want to indicate, for different reasons, the numbering of every line. And you can do this, but the default visualization is line 5, line 10, line 15, and so on. But you do the line break empty element with a slash at the end, and then you enter the number with the value 1, 2, 3, etc. If a word is divided across lines, which usually is indicated by the small dash in an epigraphic as well as in other texts, as an additional attribute to the second line where the word is transferred to, you add break with value no, which indicates that the line break does not break the word. It's the same word, and then this attribute break equals no gives you in the visual output this slash. The textual divisions, as Elena said, div type. We have different div types. You have div type addition, but within this div type addition, if the text itself is broken into parts, for example, an inscription which is broken in two parts, or an inscription which contains a relief or an image, and you have the first part of the text is above the image and the second part of the text is below image, you can have different subdivisions in this div type addition, which with div type text part. Sometimes in an epigraphic monument, you have letters which are clearly seen, but you cannot interpret them in any possible way. Usually in these editions, these letters, these strings of letters rather, are printed with capital letters in the editorial publication of the text. And this is usually encoded as orig, which stands for original. This is what originally stands on the stone, but we abstain from giving any interpretation to it. There are some letters which are unclear, that are ambiguous, that are not well comprehensible. Usually only a small part of them is preserved, but because of the context, if, for example, they form a part of the word and the rest of the word is clearly legible, and they are printed with usually with underdots. The letters which are rendered with underdots in an epigraphic edition are encoded as unclear in your EpiDoc XML. If you surround a part of the text with unclear or a letter, single letter with unclear, in the visual output, it should be presented as underdotted letters. Sometimes there are lacunae in our text which cannot be restored. Maybe some parts of letters are seen there, but we cannot make anything. Usually this is given by, for example, in the Panchier conventions with a series of crosses or pluses, or with dashes, or multiple dots, sometimes encompassed by square brackets. These are the lacunae of, or the parts of the epigraphic text which are completely lost. You say this is gap. All the lacunae are rendered with gap. And this gap has an obligatory attribute reason. If you have absolutely nothing, and these gaps are usually then marked with square brackets, you have gap reason lost. If you have something there, but we're not sure how to interpret it, you have gap reason illegible. Usually you want to indicate how big your lacuna is. So you have, if you have a precise number of letters or lines which are eligible, you have additional attributes which are quantity and unit. quantity usually is a numeric value, 1, 2, 3, etc. And the unit could be either character, if you are missing circa 3 letters of your inscription, or a unit can be line. If you believe there is a 1 or 2 or 3 lines at the beginning or at the end of your document missing. There is the specific case of a text which was lost. First, let me also specify that you may not know how big exactly is your lacuna. You're not sure if you have lost 1 or 2 or 10 lines at the end of the document. Then you don't use quantity, then you use extent. And the attribute of this, the value of this attribute extent is unknown. And again, you may not know how many characters, or you may not know how many lines you've lost. So you use the unit equals character, or the unit equals line. If you want to show that there is an imprecise amount of characters or if lines missing, so you want to say that you have a lacuna of circa 5 letters or circa 5 lines, then you add an additional attribute, precision. And this precision, in order to be rendered with circa or with a question mark in your visual output, must have a value low. So if you have a lacuna of approximately 5 letters missing, you have gap, reason lost, quantity 5, unit character, precision low. If you do not add the precision low attribute, then it will read here that you have 5 characters lost, and that's it. If you're sure that there's room for exactly 5 characters in your lacuna, then it's without the precision low attribute. Quite often, you have a text which was lost, but could be restored by the editor because of the context. And it is usually in epigraphic editions rendered by square brackets. The square brackets are supplied reason lost. Everything you want to encompass in square brackets as restored by the editor of the monument, you encompass by the supplied reason lost element. Some passages of the text may have been read by a previous editor or by somebody who saw the monument previously, but now they are non-present on our physical text, on our physical monument. And then you have also the supplied element, but with attribute reason undefined, and then you give the evidence. Who read this previously on the stone? And there are different ways to render such text. Usually such text is such passages which have been read by somebody who witnessed the monument previously but are now lost, are usually rendered in editions with underlined text. So you have supplied reason lost for lacunae which were restored by the editor, and supply reason undefined evidence previous editor if you have something which is now lost but was legible at some time in the past and somebody saw the monument in its previous state. You also have letters which are omitted by the stonecutter or by the person who produced the inscription and are added by the editor. Then you have usually in the epigraphic editions of the text, these are the pointy brackets. These are the angular brackets. The angular brackets, as we said, you do not render them by angular brackets. Or the output, they are rendered by angular brackets, but you give yet another supplied element, but this time with the attribute reason omitted. They are letters that have been wrongly inscribed by the monument, but which are surplus, which should not be there. They have not been omitted, but they are more than needed, and they are usually included in epigraphic editions in curly brackets, and they are encoded with surplus. If you have letters which are put in the editions of the monuments, either in triangular brackets or in these square parentheses, I don't know how to call them. These are letters which were wrong. The stonecutter got the letters wrong, and the editor corrects them. And then you can use several elements, actually. No, you can use choice and then the correction. So you have a main element choice and two sub-elements. One is score, which stands for corrected, and the other one is sick, which is the thing which stands on the stone. For example, the example which is here given, it should be AB, but the stonecutter switched the places of the two letters and wrote BA, but the editor corrects this, and we encode it in this way. Now I'm walking you through this document, but this, as well as the most detailed cheat sheet, which I'll show you in a while, I'll link to them right away, and you can consult them at any time during our hands-on session when you will encode your own text. There is also the case when there is an abbreviation. Also, several elements and sub-elements there, and we will have a special presentation about this. There is a special sign for editor's note. In the inscription, for example, if you want to put a sick sign after a word, this is a way to do it. Note, sick, and tag note. If you have a space left on stone, this not a lacuna, but a space which was deliberately left on the stone in its original writing, then you do not use the gap element, but you use the space element. And as with the gap, you specify the quantity and the unit. If you have numerical values, be it Roman numerals or Greek numerals, which are usually rendered in with either a horizontal line over the letter or with a prime sign at the upper right corner of the letter, you encode this with num, which stands for number, and you usually give, not usually, but I think it's obligatory, you give the value of the number, and inside the num element is the particular string which is used in the monument to indicate this type of number. And if you have a symbol, for example, a leaf or a cross or something like that, this is usually encoded by G, which can have a ref attribute or a type attribute, and you can write G, type leaf, type cross, type dot if you have an interlineal dot, and several other types which can then be visualized as leaves or dots in your visual output. And you have a slightly more detailed presentation of a cheat sheet. Here, I will just show you, and then I'll simply link to it. This has slightly more features. For example, here you have the apices on the Roman letters. If you have a Roman inscription containing these, you can also have this in some other text-bearing objects different from inscriptions or stone. On stone, for example, you have this on writing tablets and the Tabula Vindulandae project. Which uses EpiDoc, makes rich use of this one. This is rendered by high means highlight, and it usually is used to indicate something that is highlighted in some way in your text, either by apices or you have supralinear lines. You have also ligatured letters, which can be encoded by high rendition ligature. It's your choice if you do this. We usually don't do this in our Greek epigraphy project, the Telamon collection, simply because the ligatures are way too many. In each line of a given inscription, you can have up to 3 or 4 ligatures. So we decided that we'll simply describe them in the commentary and the apparatus of the inscription. All the more because they don't have special visualization. In some editions, they're visualized by this small curved line, which should stand above the 2 letters or the 3 letters which are ligatured, but this does not work very well in the different printed outputs, as well as it does not work very well here, as you can see. Something very important, if you have a deletion, not something that is destroyed by time, but a very purposeful deletion of text, such as in Damnatio Memoriae, you use the element del with an attribute rend, which stands for rendition, erasure. This is usually double square brackets, and you can have a gap within a deletion. You can also have this. You can have overstruck letter, which is encoded in this way, and you have different features described here. Now I will stop my presentation and I'll ask you if you have some questions in the meanwhile. And if not, maybe we can have several more thorough presentations concerning some specific features of the text. This is the general list of everything that you might have in your textual editions. But we have also very specific cases, and if you wish, first we will discuss at somewhat more length the gaps and the lacunae, then probably the abbreviations, and then probably we have a presentation on special symbols and marks, and also a presentation of token tagging, which means you want to encode in your text also the different words, and you want to probably lemmatize the different words and also encode and refer to a list somewhere your personal names. So, shall we start with gaps and lacunae, which is, I think, the most straightforward things? Is everything clear until now? Please bear in mind that I have only walked you through a very detailed list, which you will have at your disposal at any time, and you will go back to it whenever you feel you have forgotten how to do something. But the most common occurrences, such as unclear letters or supplied parts of the document or gaps, this is something that you will remember very quickly how to do. So things such as supplied reason lost, you will learn right away. But if you want, now we can start with the gaps and lacunae. Shall I proceed? Or, yeah. Okay. So